My name is Eddy Kleinjan, I work for DataFlex Europe, and this presentation is about doing navigation in web applications. So, how many of you have already deployed web application using the new web framework? Okay, good number. Yeah. So this is about how you can manipulate the let me see the focus tree, or how you would follow the path through using the mobile web application. So what we're going to talk about is about the drill down model. That's what the new style web application. You can both choose the desktop style, which is there for more desktop-like application, and you have the drill down model for more like the Windows Touch framework. That's the model we're going to talk about here. So what the model is that apart from the desktop model, if you start up an application using the drill down model, you always have one path to follow. You go from one screen to the other. And for example, like you see here on the screen, you start up with the web app, maybe a dashboard, and then you follow a path. But there's only one path active at the same time. At some point, you want to diverse from that. You want to go to follow a different path, or you want to skip some items. And this presentation is about how you can do that and how this path thing works and how the stack works for building up the various views. Just to give you a little idea, if you start up the web or the mobile sample and you log in, you notice that you start off with the dashboard. The dashboard is normally always the first item, the first view that you will see on the screen. From there, you will following a certain path. For example, if I go to customer query, I go start up another level. That's a new screen. So I'm one level deep now. So on the view stack, this will be the top stack there. If I click on any of those items here, I go yet another level deeper. And if I click on an item here, I go yet another level deeper. You can see that perfectly at the top. You have this breadcrumb. You can see how deep we are in levels. Sometimes you want to do it a little bit differently. You want to, for example, skip a step, or you want to jump down or jump up in the focus tree. And you have to know how this whole stack of views, how that is working, and how you should, or how you are able to manipulate this. And not only how you can manipulate that in a sense of jumping back and forth, but also how you can, for example, pass data between one view and activating the next one. For example, to seed it with the information that you like. Okay, sorry. So that's what we're going to talk about. There are different navigation methods. The navigation methods that you can send from within DataFlex to either move to a next view or to a previous view or to close one, or navigate forward custom. You have a navigate close message, a navigate cancel, there's a navigate close to and a navigate cancel to, and a navigate begin. Let's see what happens if you do a navigate forward. Navigate forward would typically be the message that you send to a view so that it becomes the next level that you're drilling down into. So what that actually does is you're moving from some object. For example, you're clicking on a button or you're clicking on a specific row, and that is going to be the invoking object. And what that source object does, it will send navigate forward to the target view, and then that target view will first try to determine what kind of view it's coming from. So what is the current view? For example, if you're drilling down from a customer into order headers, it will automatically try to put a constraint on there that says only show order headers that belong to the customer that you are currently on. So that's what it's trying to determine what to do. Then what it will do, it will create what we call a navigate data block. Excuse me. The navigate data block is a block of data that belongs to the view that you're activating. So it's a local property of that view, and you can store some data in it, and it will belongs to each view. So each view has their own set of navigate data block. Then it will initialize the view, and it will add the view to the stack. But what it also does is this little green line here, get navigate forward data. So what it will do is when you're navigating to a new object, it will first call back to the object you're coming from, so from the row you clicked on or the button you clicked on, and it will ask, do you have some information for me or data that I should take on to the next view that you're going to, because you want to maybe initialize it or want to do something different there. So these are the steps. The navigate you're coming from, it says create the navigate data block. That's the next step, what it does. And then it sends on get navigate forward data. So it sends a message back to the object you're coming from and says, okay, please provide me with extra information. Do I need to seed it somewhere? Do you want to apply a filter? Things like that. That is information that you can put into that block. The next thing is, if you're moving from, for example, an order header into order details, it might be that you first need to save that order header. So it can ask, okay, should you save before you move on to the next one? If that's a condition that's true, then it first needs to save the current row in order headers. If it doesn't succeed, you're not able to move on to the order lines. But if it does succeed, you're able to move on to the order lines so that you can create order lines there. The init view, this one will make sure that all the relationships are set up. So again, if you, for example, move from order headers into order lines, it will automatically create a constraint that it says, okay, only show order lines that belong to this order. If it's done all that, then it will add the view to the stack. So it will become the next top level view of that. And it will send, as last action, it will send on navigate forward to the view you're navigating into. And that gives you a chance of initializing that view. So maybe you want to adjust the view and say, okay, I want to show some buttons or hide some buttons or initialize it with other data. That's what you do in the on navigate forward message. So basically, these are the sequence of steps that will normally occur if you do a navigate forward of a certain view. If something goes wrong, for example, you're looking at at the order header, and you click on the order header to see the order lines, but meanwhile somebody else deleted that order for whatever reason, right? So that's a situation that is hard to predict and hard to cope with. But if the framework detects that, then it will send a message on refind record error, and that gives you a chance to maybe present a nice error message to the user, says, sorry, we're out of data, we're moving back, so it doesn't go navigate forward to that set anymore. Okay, questions so far? Oh, all still okay. Then there is a navigate forward custom, and what that does is it does less than the navigate forward. Like I said, the navigate forward try to detect automatically what the relationship is between the view you're coming from and the view you're going to. In the navigate forward custom, you're basically saying, don't bother, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to set up the view myself. So it doesn't do the initialization, it doesn't do the process of trying to determine what the relationship is. That's all the stuff that you need to take care of. So if you know up front that the views are not related, or if you want to initialize it yourself, then you don't have to bother sending navigate forward. You can directly say navigate forward custom, and you can do the stuff yourself. Okay. Let's just see what it looks like. What I'm going to do is, I already have a workspace created, so I'm not going through all of these steps. But we have a very simple model that we used during the training yesterday, where we have a simple view that is just called level 1 and has some controls in it. So let's see what it looks like. It's not the presentation. This one. So we created a small level 1 view. This is what it looks like. This has label and group 2. And what we did is on the dashboard. Do I have the dashboard open? I can't open the dashboard. On the dashboard, we created a little button. And this button here, if you see what it does, it is a web button. Can you read the source? Yeah. And all it does is say, send navigate forward of O level 1. So this is basically how you can move from one view into the other, and it will automatically become the top stack. So what that looks like on the screen, compile the application, I click on level 1, navigate forward, X to the next one. Okay, that's an easy one. So let's go to the next. Navigate close. So how do you go back one level? Normally, if you want to go back one level and say, I did everything well, you may save the record, or you may have selected the record, something like that. Then you can go navigate close. It will close down the view and also notify the view that you're coming from of the changes. It will refresh itself. So you can easily add a button that says, okay, do a navigate close. So let's go there. That's this screen here. And so in the level 2, we can say we have a close button. And I'm sorry, I'm skipping a little bit. So what I want to do is in level 1, I want to create another level called level 2. So from level 1, I want to go to level 2. So we need a button to do that. And I have the button created here. Let me uncomment this code. Control K. And this is for later. And we're going to recompile and start the application, or the workspace. So now I have level 1. From level 1, I can move into level 2. The button on level 2 simply says another navigate forward of level 2. So you can imagine you can have any setup number. And there's a button here, close, that will close down one level. So I go level 2, go one level up, one level down. That's how it works. So if you look at the code, it's here. In level 2, there's a button that says close, this one. It simply says navigate close, and it passes self as an object reference. This is something I forgot to tell when I did this one, the navigate. Let me go to this one. So if you do a navigate forward of a certain object, or level 2, so you say level 2 is going to be the next object I want to focus, you always have to pass an object reference. In this case, I'm passing self. And the object reference you're passing here is the object reference that will be called to pass on the on forward data. So that's the object that will get the message, please give me some more data before I initialize myself. You need to have that object always. So what we have now is pretty simple. Level 1 object, level 2 object, and we can close. That's pretty easy. Okay. Navigate close, yeah, explained that. So it will basically say, okay, you send navigate close. You don't have to say off because it's simply closing the top level. You go back one level. Since you came there in a certain way, it knows still what object you came from initially, and it will automatically send the on navigate back to that object. For example, if there was a button, you know that you're back in control at that point. Okay. Yeah. May involve a round trip. What does that mean? If you're closing and you, for example, made some changes that you might need to change before or save before you go back, then what the framework needs to do, it needs to ask you a question. Do you want to save? Yes, no. In order to be able to answer that question, you need to get back to the client. So normally, if you click a button and you're navigating forward to something, that all happens in one round trip. You send a message to the server does some stuff and get back, and that's it. If you're doing navigate close, it might be that you go there to the server, you send a navigate close, but then it first need to go back to the client and ask the question. Do you want to go left or right? Yes or no? And before you have to have the chance there to answer that question. And once you answer that question, it makes another round trip and says, okay, go left or right. Then it closes down that object. Okay. Create. Yeah. This is what we just did. Then there is a navigate close to and a navigate cancel to. What that allows you to do is to bypass a number of levels in your tree, or in your stack, I should say. So let's suppose you started off with web app dashboard level 1, 2, 3, and you want a button here that directly goes here. So like I said, normally you would say navigate close, so it goes back one level. But if you want to skip a certain number of levels, then you can say navigate close to, and you pass the object you want to close down to. But of course, that object needs to be in your stack. You cannot close that down to some other object. Right. If you do that, it will bypass the other objects and still go directly to, for example, level 3 to level 2. So let's go to the code. Let's see how that works. So I have a level 2, and this is my button to go to level 3. So increment that one. And then inside level 3, I can say uncomment this code. Control K. So what this button does at level 3, it says procedure on click, navigate close to, passing level 1 as the object it wants to close down to, and passing self again as the object reference. So what that looks like, you compile the application, you go to level 1, from level 1 we go to level 2, from level 2 we go to level 3. These are all normal navigate forwards, and you can see it building up on the stack, level 1, 2, 3. And now if you click this close to level 1, you will see it goes back 2 levels. So you can, in one go, you can go back basically any number of levels as long as there are an object in the stack that is corresponding to it. Okay. This is what we just did. Then there is also a navigate begin. If you start up an application, the starting point of the navigation tree of the stack will be desktop. The desktop is the first object that will be shown. Any object that you're going to activate after that is going to be added to the stack, but the desktop is the beginning of that. What you can do is send navigate begin to any of those objects on a view object, and that will become the new starting point, unless you specified a PHO default view in the web app. And normally, the PHO default view is set to desktop. That means that whenever you send navigate begin to some of the objects, the desktop will come first, and then will come the object where you send navigate begin of. And it will just reinitialize a new stack. If you don't want that, if you don't want the desktop, what you can do is temporarily switch it off. So temporarily switch it off, and then you can set a new object as the root of the stack. So why would you do that? Might be different reasons. For example, if you have a complex application or a large application, it might be that you say, okay, I have an application split up in, for example, financial information, HR information, clients information, something else, and you might have maybe have different desktops. And you say, okay, I'm now running into this desktop for HR, and you start off with a new desktop, that's going to be the root, and then you're going to move forward from that point on. Or you might have multiple tabs open, and say each tab has their own root where you're accessing it from. Okay. So there might be various reasons, but the navigate begin gives you an opportunity of starting up a new stack. Normally it could be in the same window, but you could also open up a new tab or a new window on your browser that has a different kind of stack. Navigate data. This is an important guy. If you want to pass on data from A to B, so you go moving from one view into another, you need a place where you can pass on that data. That's navigated data for. It's a structured, it's a type, it's a web property, so each view has their own copy of data. They're run independently of each other. And it has a number of properties that we will take a look at. What's important is that it's stored on the client. So it goes with every call, goes back and forth between client and server. So don't use it to store sensitive data in, for example, because people would be able to read it. Like Harm showed this morning, you can just use the browser tool to query all the properties, etc. So don't do that. And basically what it does, it contains the state of the view. That's what it contains. So what are the elements of it? Basically those. So the navigation type, it will determine, it will put it in there. It has a column and a table where it's coming from, so that it knows what column to update if you go back from a certain view. It has the row ID, for example, whether it's a new record or read-only. So this is information for the object you're navigating into. So you can say, okay, if you want to start up a read-only mode, you can control it by this. And most important one, I think, not the most important one, but if you want to customize things, then the most important one is this one. Named values. Named values, this is an array that has a name value type of structure. And you can manipulate those using a couple of messages or functions where you can put data into that array and get data out of that array. And it's completely up to you what you put in and how you get it out or what you want to do with it. But this is your place where you can store the temporary data. So normally if you want to access this navigate data block outside the movement of navigating to a new view or getting from somewhere else. So if you just want to have a button and see, okay, what's the contents of navigate data, then there's an easy access method called get navigate data that will give you the copy of navigate data. Why is it easy? Because this is a web property. You would normally always have to say web get navigate data of the view. So it's long and web set, blah, blah, blah. Using the get navigate data, you don't have to web get or web set it. You can just say, okay, from anywhere inside the view, you're saying you get navigate data, and you will get a copy of that. If you make changes to it, you need to set it back using the set navigate data. That's pretty easy. Okay, the helper functions to put information inside the array. These are named value add. So you pass it the array of where you want to add a value to, so it's a complete array. You pass the name and the value that you want to store into that, and you get back the new array. That's how it works. There's the name value get, pretty similar. You pass it the array, you pass the name of which you want to have the value of, and it will return the value. And there is a name value index that gives you the ability to see if a name already exists in this array. So if you want to, for example, first see if it exists already, you use name value index for that. Name value remove gives you the option to remove a value from that, but these are basically all the messages that you need for manipulating that name value array. Once you know that it's there, then how can you use it? Well, if you're moving from one view into the other, the view you're moving from, the source view, will get this message on get navigate forward data. And basically that's your point, your access point of manipulating or putting data into that array so that it will travel to the view you're navigating into so that you can use the data there. You should never try to say, okay, I'm in level 1 and set directly a property of level 2. Don't try to do that, because you always, if you want to change data and you're going from view A to view B, always pass the data using this the navigate forward and this navigate data block. Don't directly access the views. Okay, let's take an example how you could use that. Let's suppose that you have this model, web app O dashboard, and you want to have level 1, but level 1 says, for example, this is there's a button here that says new order, and that would normally get you into the order lines, but there are no order lines. Because if you have a new order, it's empty, so you want it directly to move on to select an item or go into a detail for a new item. So then you want to bypass one more level. So instead of going from level 1 to level 2, you want directly go to level 3. So at the same time, you want to build up a stack in the correct order. So you want the stack to look like dashboard, level 1, level 2, level 3. So how can you do that? Well, one way of doing that is, for example, if you're activating from level 1 to level 2, and level 2 will call back, say, hey, do you have any data for me? I can give it some data, says, okay, your next object is going to be level 3. So you just pass some data. And then in this object here, we can catch that. So when it's initializing here, we can say, okay, if you got some data back from level 1 that says you need to go to the next object, automatically do a navigate forward to level 3. So basically you're creating kind of script that says, okay, from level 1, go to level 2. This one will call back here and say, do you have data for me? You say, okay, yeah, the next object you need to go to is level 3. So it comes back here, and you say, okay, go to level 3. So what does it look like? Well, first let's go on level 1. Let's see. This is level 1. And let's see where I am. Level 2. Yeah, this is the one. Too much? Like that. Okay, so this is basically a button. It says the same on-click, navigate forward. This is all the same thing that we already did. But in this case, we added here an on-navigate forward data. And this message will automatically be called by the level 2 that we're moving into. So it's moving navigate forward to level 2. It will call back here. And then we say add, name value add. So in this array of named values, we add a value called next object, and we give it the value of O level 3. And we put it back into the navigate data. Note that if this message is sent, it's passing the navigate data by ref, which means you don't have to get it or set it. It's already there. It's by reference, so you can directly manipulate that block of data. You don't have to get or set it. You can directly access it like this. So this is adding the value there. So then we go to level 2, and in level 2, it will get to this message, on navigate forward. And on navigate forward is the message that will be executed once it's done doing all this stuff that we explained in the beginning. The last message is, okay, navigate forward. And what we do then, we can also get a reference to this navigate data block. We ask it, do you have an element called next object? And if you have a next object and it's called level 3, we simply directly go from level 2 to navigate forward to level 3. So basically what this does is you click on a button in level 1, it goes to level 2, asks data from level 1, what do you need to do? And it will automatically go to level 3 then. So let's see what that looks like. So it's level 1. I'm now using this button. This is the level 3 through level 2. And you'll see it directly goes to level 3 here, but level 2 is still in the middle. So you still create a good stack the way it should look like, but directly bypassing it one more level. Of course, you could also create more levels if you like, but it gives you the ability to directly skip another level. So if you now press close here, it simply also closes down to level 2. We were never in level 2, but it still knows how to get there. Or we can move back to level 3, close, like that. And we can also close to level 1 here by directly bypassing 2 again. So now we can bypass level 2 this way at all, or go to level 2, level 3. Let's see. So that's forward navigate 2 levels. This one. Let's suppose that you are here and you want to go there for whatever reason. This might be, I don't know, a lookup for something else, and this might be a lookup for whatever. So what this requires you to do, if you want to navigate from level 2 to level 3 to level 2A, you first need to go back out to the common level, which is level 1, and then from that point on, you need to go to level 2A. So in this case, what do you need to do in level 3? Let's see. So in level 3, we have close to level 2A. That's what I called it. Like that. So I'm close down to level 1. That's the message that we already saw, so you close down. But then we use the on get navigate back data. So when we're navigating back, it's very similar to navigating forward. You also get a chance of putting in some data in the navigate data block. And in this case, I say next object should be level 2A. So actually, I'm indicating once you get back to level 1, go directly to level 2A. So if you can look at level 1 again, and I use this one to get there. Okay. So this is the button that initially activated level 2. From level 2 to go to level 3. It will get back here, and then it gets on navigate back. So once you get back to this button, you're going to query the navigate data named values for next object. If it have a next object that's called level 2A, then navigate forward of level 2A. So basically, you say, okay, first go down to level 1, and from that point, go on to level 2A. So what that looks like is this. Level 1, level 2. I forgot the button, I think. Yep. So I need to activate the other button. Let's go to level 3. I need to recompile. Okay, that's it. Level 1, level 2, level 3. Yeah, that's it. So now I can close to level 2A, which is the parallel thing. And you notice now it's level 1, 2, 3, and you close down to level 2A. It's now level 1, level 2A. So now you're moving back and up again. So that way you can navigate around in those of views. Always try to keep the stack happy and go never directly to other points. And this way you can build it up. Okay. Load app from URL. Many times, at some point, let me put it that way, you might want to send somebody a URL, for example, say, you need to take a look at this customer, do something with it. And you would like to be able to maybe send an email or send a message that says, okay, this is the URL. If you click on that URL, it should automatically open up your application with this customer loaded and maybe some other things happening so that people can directly start working with that. So how do you do that? Basically what you do is use the get URL parameter query. Get URL parameter gives you the ability to query the URL that somebody is using to get to your web application and see if there are any parameters that you are passed and you are interested in to see what it does. In the method onload, let's see, where I have it. Yeah, in the onload of, for example, a dashboard, you can make that call and see if it has some data. I created a sample for that. So if we go to dashboard, let's see, where is it? Onload. Yeah. So the onload is only fired the first time it's loading for that specific session. So that's what it does. So what I'm doing here is a get URL parameter view. So if there is a URL parameter called view, and it has the value O level 1, then we say automatically forward navigate of level 1. So it automatically does that. It initializes the application in that way. And in this guy here, because it's going to call back to us, because we pass self here as the handle reference, it says on get navigate forward data. We say get URL parameter level 1 data. So if there is another URL parameter in level 1 data, then we say put that data into the named value array and call it all level 1 data, and just whatever it typed in, put it in there. And what you then can do in O level 1, of course, if it got activated, and you on navigate forward, you can say, okay, I got you the data, get the value of named values, O level 1 data. If there is some data, put it into O form of, or put it in the value of O form. So automatically initialize it like that. So what does that look like? Actually like this. So click on try. You see it's automatically loaded with ABC here. Because in the URL, I said view is level 1 and level 1 data is ABC. This is a URL you could basically send to anyone and say, okay, click here and do something with it. Now I only put the value in label 1, but you could also say use this value to look up a record, for example, or to initialize other things. So you can use your imagination what you can do with it. So if I change this into Atlanta, for example, and press enter, it says loads it up with Atlanta or whatever. So you can, using this URL and thinking of some parameters that you might use, you can use that to automatically load it. I have another example, a pop-out example that I called. I used automobile for this one, and I thought, okay, well, how can you use this URL in a different way? This is the standard sample, John, and I'm going to look up a customer, and let's say, okay, amplified, take this one, American products, look at information. What I created here is a pop-out. And what that pop-out does, it will automatically compose a URL, and then it uses the navigate page for, I don't know, let me look it up, the navigate message to automatically create another tab in your browser, and it loads that specifically with this record. And what it also does at the same time, because I just want to see this customer there, it takes away the menu here and the bar. So I can click on pop-out, so it passes the element, and I get another tab that just shows this customer. So let's suppose I want to see this customer and see it side by side. So I can move it on the side here. And I could, for example, go back and select another customer. Let's see, this one as well. Home, pop out as well. So you can easily set more rows or records side by side. They share the same session, because it's still in the same session, they said share, etc. And the only thing they can do right now is make changes here, and they can save it. Once you're done with it, you can just close it down and close this one down and create things like that. So this gives you the ability of easy creating references like this, or maybe creating an extra desktop or create a copy, because in the drill down model, it's not that hard that if you're down a certain path and somebody calls you and says, okay, I need you to take a look at this and that, and you go, oops. One other option you always have, of course, is right-clicking on the tab and say duplicate. It's easy to get another view on your same data. And so if people say, okay, I'm missing this MDI kind of style, you always can create duplicate version of tabs, and you can also help people doing that by creating buttons like a pop-out kind of thing. So, okay, this is your the URL. You could, of course, also create a button that says, okay, copy link, that puts the link, and then you can send the link in a message or whatever you, things like that. Okay. That's about it. So any questions about navigation stuff?
Yeah. Oh. All right. On that one where you did the, you created a URL to pass it up.
Yeah.
One of the parameters in your URL was a role ID.
Yeah.
Is there any automatic security on the stuff you pass in, or do you have to roll our own?
In this case, I did it myself this game. So I'm just accepting that as being the truth, and I didn't put in any security. Normally you could do, put in extra security, for example, a checksum on the raw ID and pass that as well. And that would be a good idea, to do. But you cannot bypass, you are already logged in. If you would not be logged in already, it would first pop up a login screen. So because it's sharing the same session. That's why it's, if I would take the same URL and open it up in another browser where I'm not logged in, it will first require me to log in.
Okay.
So in this case,
If I took that technique and I said, okay, I need to email a customer to confirm a delivery appointment, and I'm going to craft this fancy URL that takes them to a page in my browser that's in my web app that says, yes, of course, I'll be home to accept delivery of your goods. Yeah. Yes or no?
I get your point. It's completely correct. If you would roll this one out and deploy it, you probably would have an extra parameter that says checksum and compare the checksum, recalculate the checksum and compare those two to see if nobody manipulated the URL. Good point. Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a question also back on that. I've got a login where you go on an email address, so everybody can create their own login, then they get an email and they have to activate, obviously.
Right.
So the information goes to my page that is not password protected, obviously. Only with that link that is on that.
Yeah, you can add another code like this time deliver, or what do you say, a time expiration thing. Yeah.
My question was the Navigate data web copy is moved to being a client. In other words, it stays being a client.
Currently, that's I don't know if there are plans for this. Maybe John can. John?
I think it is a server property.
Currently, it's not. No. Do you know if is that deliberately or?
I tested it with the server property, but I think we at that stage weren't sure if we could do the automatic adding of the web cross table and things, so we wouldn't know if every workspace would support server properties.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we went down the path that every workspace will support that, so we might still convert it or probably in the next version.
How does the browser back buttons behave in context of this forward back navigation?
The browser back button, normally a browser back button would go one page back, and since we're a single page application, that would, if you're coming from whatever, CNN.com, you probably end up in CNN.com. I don't think it's, can we manipulate that, Harm, you know?
Yes, there are techniques for manipulating that, but yeah, we didn't succeed in testing it to the drill down model yet. We will do that in the future.
Okay, thank you.